Hello and welcome to TotoTCG. You are here with me, Matthew, and we are back here with another Pokemon news update. Now we have something a little bit different because we've gone through all of the GXs to be announced for Celestial Storm so far. That consists from 2 sets and also 1 promo GX, which was about 5 or 6 months ago. Now the GXs have come from 2 different Japanese sets mixed together, which are Champion Road and Charisma of the Wrecked Sky. Both of which one of them housed 6 GXs, the other 5. Then we've had a promo, so we've got 12 GXs overall coming out so far in Celestial Storm. Whether there'll be any more, because there's still one more promo GX to come out. Whether that will appear, I'm not too sure. I'm not, no one is. Hopefully at some point we will get some confirmation on that. So what are we talking about in this? Well, we are talking about supporters. And the supporters from Champion Road. Now there's 5 supporters that I want to check out. So we'll be checking out the supporter, the actual card, what it does, how it could affect the game, and then also show off the full art as well. And I'll also give my sort of recommendation as to whether or not these are going to be playable, how they could work, stuff like that. So we'll get started. So without further ado, let's crack on with the first one. And we have this card right here, which straight away is now bearing in mind all of these were their reprints from like EX era, way back. So all of these are reprints, so some of you might be able to already like see or know what these might do, but they're really cool. They definitely look really, really cool. They've got a more modern, obviously, artwork around the side. It's not like all the old days card-looking stuff. It's nowadays, which looks really cool. So in this picture, we can see what looks like a miner in a cave. There's a Zubat, Diglets. You're thinking, well, what does this thing do? Well, let's have a little look and see what it does do. Oh, actually, what it's called first. It's actually called Underground Expedition. So first of all, when I first heard that, it was like, oh well, it's gonna get like ground types out, or help them out. It's got a Zubat and Diglett in there. Maybe it's sort of like ground fighting, that sort of thing. No, it's nothing to do with that. It is, of course, a supporter card. So you look at the 4 cards from the bottom of your deck. You choose any 2 cards there and put them in your hand. Put the remaining cards back on the bottom of your deck in any order. So it's like Looker, but you actually see what you could possibly get from the bottom of your deck, and you're also able to have get a possibility of 4 cards. Obviously, you can only choose 4, but with Looker, you get 3. You get 3, but you run the risk of maybe not getting what you wanted. Whereas you see 4, you pick the 2 you actually want or could help. So personally, I think this is interesting. I don't know what's really better. I mean, Looker, you do get 3 cards, which I mean is always good to grab some cards. But 4 cards, looking at them, and then only picking 2. I mean, the big question is, will this thing see play? I'll be brutally honest, I don't think so. This is not a viable draw support. This may be something that could work out for like a pre-release, seeing as pre-releases only have like 40 cards. Could be pretty interesting. Plus the fact that you could be pulling this in the Celestial Storm pre-release. So there is definitely that. It just reminds me very much of Looker, but you only get 2 cards. Yes, you do get the luxury of obviously looking at the 4 of them and deciding, oh look, I've got a Choice Band, oh I've got an Evolution there, I'll take both of them out. Happy days. Of course, you could do this and end up with a load of rubbish and just draw 2 cards that are absolute trash, which is obviously not good. But I think it's a good card. It's pretty good for a beginner, but it's not good for competitive. I definitely do not think this thing will see competitive stuff. During a pre-release, I'd run it because drawing support in a pre-release is pretty major, because sometimes a lot of people do run a lot of energy, so that could come in very, very handy. Now, like I said, we will be seeing the full art, and the full art looks incredibly awesome. Let's have a little look at it. There is the full art right there. So it is that Expeditioner at the very front. A very interesting full art there. I'm going to guess and say this one probably won't be a very pricey full art. It might be to begin with, But as it sort of carries on, I really don't think this is going to see a lot of interest in terms of collectors and players. It looks cool, don't get me wrong, but I really can't see this thing shooting up in price or anything. It's an interesting card. It's not the best one out of Champion Road, let's just put it that way. But I like the full art. I mean, I absolutely love full art trainers, and the fact that there's no like Alolan type trainers or anything, it's a bit different. But I'm getting used to it. But there we go. Underground Expeditioner there, or Expedition. Not a bad card. Not bad indeed. Let's move on though to another card. So we have this one right here. Well, what's this one called? It is called TV Reporter. So I already love this card because number one, you've got this woman almost 3D pointing this mic right out at you, the camera guy at the background, and that Loudred as well in the background there, which looks really, really cool, just sort of like sneaking up behind that. Maybe that's like a sound system, or like it picks up the volume or something and helps the cameraman. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if this actually was in the anime at all, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Let's have a little look at what it actually does. So you draw 3 cards, then discard a card from your hand. So, I mean, that's not bad. You are drawing, you're basically doing a how and then getting rid of trash. But the only thing is, if this is the only thing you've got in hand, you draw 3 cards, then you've got to get rid of them. You could be just only drawing 2 cards, which is a little bit annoying. But then you could set up for stuff, so you could draw 3 cards, maybe you're playing this in a water deck, maybe. You discard maybe a water energy from your hand, you manage to snag an Aqua Patch from doing this, you smack the Aqua Patch on, happy days. Other stuff could go like missing. It's an interesting one. Is it the best one? No. Plain and simple, no. But another one, definitely going to be pretty good for pre-release. There's a lot of draw supporters coming out, and I say draw supporters because they do help draw cards, just not very well. So yeah, this is definitely in the not very well bracket. But pre-release, definitely play this because, you know, any drawing of cards is always very much appreciated. To get your hand fanned out and ready to go, this thing would be awesome. So let's have a little look at the full art to see what it actually looks like. And there is the full art right there. So you can see it is that reporter and the caravan in the background. I'm a little bit annoyed that Loudred didn't make it. I love it when Pokemon appear in the backgrounds of the full art trainers. It looks so cool and really does add something to the actual card. Don't get me wrong, it looks really cool. Is this one that I can see that might pick up a bit of price? No. To me, this is very much like a how, just worse. Because you are drawing 3 cards and then discarding one. Like I said, that could be good in some situations, but just play how. Just play how. If you really want to draw 3 cards, play how. Good for a beginner card, not going to be good in competitive. I'm putting it out there. This thing, I can't see it being good in competitive at all. It's not a decent draw support. You want draw support that is actually going to draw you some cards without the risk of you going, okay, I need all these cards and now I have to choose to discard one of them. What do I do? So yeah, that could be pretty interesting indeed. But yeah, let's move on from that to the next one. We have this one right here. So this guy seems to have some apricorns, and there's a sunkern there as well, which looks really cool. Very nice. I like it. I like it indeed. Well, what is it called though? It is called Apricorn Maker. Now, any of you who probably, maybe you've done Pixelmon or something, you'll know that apricorns go to making Pokeballs. Do you get what I'm sort of getting at? This is the card that basically allows you to search your deck for up to 2 items with ball in their name. Show them to your opponent, then put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Now, you could look for an S-Ball, and you could look for an Ultra Ball. There are actually 2 balls coming out in this set. I believe it's Friend Ball and maybe a Heal Ball, I think. We will be having a little look at on the channel because I want to make sure we go through all the items and stadiums and everything that are coming out from these sets. So we'll have a look at those 2 balls, see what they do, see if they're any good. But the fact that this thing can actually look for a Nest and an Ultra Ball, And the fact that Ultra Ball is probably going to always be around, I think it did get a reprint in Shining Legends, so even if the sets go from Sun and Moon to probably Burning Shadows, but then that's only 3 sets, so it might actually take up the Sun and Moon to Shining Legends in the next rotation, although that's a year away, and we've got plenty of sets to come before then. But Ultra Ball, I think, is a really good staple in most decks, so this could help. Getting a Nest Ball as well helps you get a basic, so that's pretty cool. This is probably going to be good in pre-release, especially if you can find one of the 2 balls that comes out. Plus the fact that I think Timer Ball and Nest Ball will be in pre-releases. Then most of the time they are in the pre-release bundle packs. So yeah, that could be pretty interesting. Pretty interesting indeed. Because there's a lot of things you can do with this. But the only thing is, you got to think, you're playing this supporter, you're only allowed to play 1 supporter per turn, and you're looking for 2 items. Yes, those 2 items could find you 2 Pokemon. If it's a Time Ball, it could be evolutions. If it's an Ultra Ball, you could get an evolution or a basic. And if it's a Nest Ball, it could be a basic. That sort of thing. Can I see it being in play? I don't know. Maybe run 1? But I'm not too sure. I think if you're really desperate and maybe you don't want to run that many like Ultra Balls, maybe this is big, because a lot of people usually would just say run 4 Ultra Balls, you're bound to hit one. But what if you run 3 and maybe one of these? Because then you can actually search for the Ultra Balls. As much as you may be searching for 2, you could maybe search for an Ultra and a Nest. Who knows? Who knows? But let's have a little look at the full art here, and there it is right there. I absolutely love this thing so much. Number 1, it's got a Sunkern in it. It actually has a Pokemon in it. It looks absolutely amazing. The guy himself, the actual maker, is amazing. I love how there's an actual Apricorn in the actual artwork as well. The background looks amazing. It's very much like here. It looks as if he's just stood up, and I think in the background there it's almost like a bamboo type mesh type design, which is what you can see when you see this in the background there, which looks really awesome. The orange works really well. The Sunkern is that bright yellow. It looks amazing. I have to say, this is definitely one full art that I am really going to be looking for. It just looks really, really cool. Like I said, any supporters that come out in pre-release are most likely to be playable during a pre-release. Competitively, I really don't know whether this thing will see a lot of play. It's not a Pokemon, of course, but whether it'll see any play in terms of helping to get balls out, especially if you do run Nest and Ultra, it could help. But will people take up 1 or 2 spaces in their deck for this thing? I don't know. That is the question. Let me know your thoughts, though, on that. Do you think this thing could be part of a deck? For most people, anyway. But anyway, moving on from that, let's have a little look at the 4th one here. So we've got this guy right here. He's having a little muck around with what looks like some electronics, computer stuff, everything like that. So what is this one in particular? Well, it's called Bill's Maintenance. So obviously that guy is Bill. And I think Bill came out as its own card. I think it was literally just called Bill. Oh, I don't know what it did. I think it was like a draw supporter. It did sort of like, I think it was either you draw 3 or it's draw 7 or draw 6. Something like that. But it came out quite a while ago. So this one though is called Bill's Maintenance. So it's a completely different card. What does it do though? If you have any cards in your hand, shuffle one of them into your deck, then draw 3 cards. If you can't shuffle a card into your deck, you can't play this card. So that's not bad. You're not shuffling your whole deck in, but you are shuffling maybe 1 card that you don't need. What situation could this be helpful in? Maybe you've got an Ultra Ball in hand, and maybe the only Pokemon left is in your hand. You use this, you shuffle that Pokemon back, you then have a Nest or an Ultra Ball in hand. Obviously, you can then draw 3 cards. I'm not saying you are going to draw into the Pokemon. You could. But because you've done that, you can then utilise the Nest Ball or the Ultra Ball to get the Pokemon back out. That sort of thing. There's probably a few other ways in which this could work, but the fact that you are able to draw 3 cards and you're not discarding that card. This is almost like a completely different version of TV Reporter. Instead of putting it in the discard pile and drawing 3, you put it back into your deck and draw 3. So this one is more playable than TV Reporter. That's the only way I can sort of describe it. It's an interesting one because obviously you're able to sort of plant one back in and then take 3. You could get that one back. That's the not risk, but that's the reward possibly that you could possibly go for. And of course, if you don't have any cards in hand, this thing can't be used. So there is that. So let's have a look at the full art here. And I have to say, I absolutely love this. Number one, it's an absolute lime green background. That sort of circuit board in the background. Bill looks absolutely like he's pulling his sleeves up. He's the IT guy. He's ready to take your calls. He's got his screwdriver / what looks like a pencil, but it is a screwdriver. What? Or maybe it's actually a soldering iron. Because he's got a wire coming out of it. Maybe it's a soldering iron. I guess so, because if he's playing with circuit boards and you have to solder all the parts together, that could be very cool. I like that. That also could be a nice one to try and collect, because I do like lime green, it has to be said. And the fact that that background contains a lovely circuit board and it is green is going to be very nice. Can I see this one being expensive? No. This is the 4th one that I don't think they're going to get a lot of expense out of. This is not going to be an expensive card to probably get. It probably will be to begin with, because everything is like, woo, up there. It's like, way, this thing's the best thing since sliced bread. No, it's not. It's not. Give it about a week or two, or actually when the set comes out, and all the prices will dive down, because obviously the cards will become more available, not during pre-release. So yeah, it could be interesting. Could be interesting. It's a good one to use in pre-release. Competitively, I don't know, situational. Maybe just plonk one in there. See how it goes. See how it goes. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this, guy. Do you think at all it could be playable? Could it? I don't know. I'm not too sure. So moving on to the 5th and final card. And bearing in mind, this is the last card from Champion Road, this one I think could be the big old woohoo! This is the big pricey one, okay? Here we go. So, bang, straight away we got a green-haired girl with a Pokeball, a jacket, and a Team Rocket worker with a scientist and a guy dressed up as Pikachu. It's kicking off. What is this card called? It is called Copycat. Well, what does Copycat do? Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw a number of cards equal to the number of cards in your opponent's hand. Yeah, this thing I think is going to see quite a bit of play. Now, after rotation, we're going to be losing Sycamore, we're going to be losing N, so both of those big draw supporters that practically every single person would use are gone. They are gone. They're not getting reprinted. There's nothing that similar to them. A good draw supporter at the moment, Cynthia. You can shuffle and have a fresh hand. Judge. I'll say Judge because it is a draw supporter. You get to shuffle. You get to disrupt your opponent as well, because that can really annoy them, especially if they've had a good turn with a Zoroark and they've been trading away and they've got a massive hand. You go, so how many cards have you got in your hand there? Ooh, 16 is it? Ho, Judge. It's brilliant. It's an absolute dream to play Judge and just really annoy them. So, Copycat, it's going to be very good. I would personally say that I've seen people already play it in like testing and everything. This thing is going to be really good. Think of how many people play Zoroark. I'm not saying every single person does, but think how many people do. Think how many people draw their hand. Maybe you've had a really rubbish turn of events and you may be only left with 1 card. You draw this and you think, hold on, my opponent's got 8 cards. I want 8 cards. Copycat. Yes, please. 8 cards. Bang. You're in a good position then. Your opponent almost feeds you the cards. So, it's not, obviously, I'm not saying your opponent needs to be like, oh, I only need like 2 cards because otherwise you're going to copycat me. But yeah, this is going to be a very cool card. I definitely think this is going to be a bit of a money card. I don't think it's a rare, and I don't think it's a holo in the set because Diantha was a holo in Forbidden Light. I think there will be a holo, which is actually one of the cards which is coming out in Charisma of the Wrecked Sky, so we'll be having a look at that tomorrow. But this one, is going to be interesting, I have to say. So, without further ado, let's have a little look at that beautiful full art. Bang. This, I think, is going to be a bit of a money card. If people are going to put Copycat, I don't know how many you'd run. I'd be brutally honest. If this is me personally, I'd run 4. I'd just straight up run 4. And a lot of people like to have possibly 4 full arts of the trainers. I know with like Sycamores and Ends, N I think came along in like a box set, so you could get that. Sycamore you got from Steam Siege. This thing is probably going to be a very big money card, and I think it was in Japan actually as well. It looks amazing. It has to be said, it looks absolutely amazing. Everything that was on the previous card is here. You've got the Pikachu, you've got the girl dressed up, you've got the Pokeball even, you've got that Team Rocket person in the background, and you've got the scientist all on that card. And the background looks amazing. It looks like a kid's bedroom. It looks incredible. Absolutely incredible. Definitely, I think the best card from Champion Road is this, in terms of trainers. Sorry, I mean in terms of supporters. This is the card from Champion Road that I think people are going to be after. It's just insane. Absolutely insane. Incredible. So yeah, I definitely think this thing is it's worth playing 3, definitely maybe even 4 in a deck. When this thing comes out, you definitely want to be trying to get these. So if we hit them during pre-release, I mean, we're sorted and we can just crack on and use this. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really cool. It'll even be really cool in Expanded as well. Because, what's the card? Colrus. Oh my gosh, Colrus is so annoying. Your opponent plays Colrus, you think, okay, fair enough, you've just played Colrus, you've got about 14 cards in hand, happy days for you. I fancy 14 cards. Copycat, bang, 14 cards. Sycamore only gave you 7. N, possibly 6, could be less. Unless you get N, maybe you've only got 1 prize card, that's only 1 card, happy days. But yeah, this, I think, has been the highlight of Champion Road, is this card right here. I'm excited for it, and I'm definitely going to be looking for that full art, because it looks insane. If we can pull that, not only in a pre-release, but in a booster box, whew, that is bang, straight up there. This is going to be definitely one of the money cards, 100%. But I would like to know from you guys, can you rate these cards in terms of 1 to 5? Obviously 5 being worst, 1 being the best. I think you know which number 1 is for me. And you probably know what number 5 is. So let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on all of these cards. Definitely nice 5 cards here. Obviously these are just the first 5 supporters. We've got another load to check out in the second set, which obviously they're merging together. So it's going to be really cool to have a little look at. So, further to that, let's crack on and let's do Guess the GX. It's the answer from our previous one from yesterday. So I gave you that picture right there. What do you think that was? Well, it was in fact Lycanroc Midday Form, the GX full art, which came out in Burning Shadows. Very cool indeed. Not the best Lycanroc, but pretty cool. Pretty nice indeed. So let's have a little look at the Guess the GX here. Let's see what we've got. We've got that picture right there, that picture there, and that's it a little bit bigger. Yeah, I'll leave you guys with that. So if you guys have found me for the first time and you have just checked out this video, then definitely hit that subscribe button below, because we've got more news updates to cover. We've got a load of different cards to still go over. If you haven't already checked out all the GX videos, we've done all separate GX videos. There's 12 videos of all the different GXs which will be coming out in Celestial Storm. So definitely go check them out. We got supporters coming, we got the rest of the trainer cards coming, and then we'll have a look at some of the different... we'll probably do in elements, so that's the different element cards which could be pretty playable, that sort of stuff. So without further ado, I will leave it here, and I will see you guys in the next video on the channel.